We're spending 22 minutes today with Billie Joe Armstrong, of course, of Green Day fame, and now a movie star.
If you want to say that, that's cool with me.
Maybe what I should say, I should be more specific. Your first really starring role in a feature film called Ordinary World. I got to see it last night. How did you come to be doing that project?
Well, the writer-director, Lee Kirk, he approached me with a script, and I read it overnight, and I really liked it immediately. So, yeah, we just sort of worked on it a little bit together, and yeah, really I fell in love with the character, and I thought it was great.
No big surprise there. Perry. He's a lovable character.
Yeah.
He's a former punk rocker.
Yeah, I mean, you know, full-time dad. You know, I think the thing I related to most was just that how you become so humble when you become a parent, because it's your you know, you put your kids and family before everything else. So so that was the thing I kind of related to the most about him.
Interesting. And you have two sons?
Yeah, 21 and 18.
And they're both musicians.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. And the girl, your daughter, the older child in the movie is a musician as well. Right?
Yeah. You know, having kids and even just like hanging out with Madison, who played Salome in the movie, like, yeah, and she's a really talented kid, and we were able to sort of talk about music and share music. It's almost like you can speak a different language, just I guess the language of rock and roll, I guess.
Yeah. Were you always able to speak that language with your own sons? Yeah,
and we still do. It even gets more intense now that, you know, it's like they show me a lot of things that they're up to and what they're listening to, and you know, my youngest, Jacob, is becoming a really good songwriter, and my oldest is the drummer in a band called Swimmers, and it's great. It's like, because they honestly love music, and that's why I like talking about it, really.
Did you ever have any reservations with them going into the biz?
No, we never really talked about that stuff. I mean, we talk about it just in terms of what to be aware of, but it's more about loving music and just kind of showing them some old stuff that I've listened to, and then they turn me on to stuff too.
Movie shot here in New York City, right? And so Perry, your character, he kind of wants to have this big party for his milestone birthday.
Yeah.
And his buddy, Fred Armisen, tries to facilitate that. What was it like working with Fred Armisen?
Oh, it was great. Yeah. You know, me and Fred, actually, we go back a lot further than I thought we did. It's like we played, his band played with us, and where were we at? We're in like Beloit, Wisconsin at an Elks Lodge in 1991. So it's like, I think our second record hadn't even come out yet, but he was, yeah, so it was crazy just how full circle that we came, and you know, he's such a great drummer, and such a great actor, and so funny, and obviously, but yeah, it was great working with him.
I miss him on SNL. The 4 songs, right, that are original songs for the movie, and did Fred play the drums on those, or?
Well, the cool thing about this movie is that we played everything live. So I had to get together with him and Lucas and Kevin and we rehearsed, and it was like a real band, and you can hear, like, ended up getting pretty tight. So yeah, and there's 4 songs: The Devil's Kind, Ordinary World, Body Bag, and I can't think of the other one at the top of my head.
I'll have to go back and Google it.
Oh, Fever Blister. That's what it's called. Yeah.
Okay. And making the movie, so the other actors I should mention, Selma Blair, of course, she just had that great role as Kris Jenner in the O.J. movie. I don't know if you saw that at all, but and Judy Greer. Too. Yeah. So what was it like working with them? Like, did you seek out like acting advice, or were you just like, no, I get this guy, I'm just going to play him naturally?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I definitely kind of fed off of them. I mean, Selma is a great actor. She's been in a lot of great movies, and so I was really excited working with her. And Judy was, she's an amazing actor. So, and she made it really fun, and like that scene, the scenes that we were in, I don't know, she was just really excited, and so was I, and so I think the fact that we got along so well kind of made it like so we had some pretty good chemistry.
Yeah, it comes across on the screen. It definitely does. And so your character, he's turning 40. I don't want to give too much away about it, but he's turning 40. Was that in your own life any kind of a crisis?
Sure, why not? You know, I think it's a little bit for everybody. Yeah, I think, you know, I think that it's just sort of when you get to an age where you can look back at time and eras of where you were at in your life, that's when I think you start going, wow, this is, I'm getting up there. But, and I think the thing about the character was like, yeah, you have to, when you have a family and you have kids, there's a part of you that sort of goes away. But what I think that the character finds is that there's something new about him that he's discovering every day.
And there's also a nice scene where his friend tells him that he got to jam with McCartney.
Yeah.
And your character's like, oh.
Yeah.
But in real life, did you get to jam with McCartney? I know I read something that you definitely got to hang out with him at one of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremonies, or is that somebody who you've
that's the
collaborated with?
surreal thing about the whole thing was when the movie was finished and it was edited and then Green Day got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I was literally jamming with Ringo and Paul McCartney, and it's just crazy how, I don't know, I have a weird life and I like it.
What was that like, jamming with them?
It was like, I still can't believe it. Ringo's a really great drummer, and he's really solid, and that's just from looking at it from a musician standpoint, is just to be able to hear him up close and not just on record, and he's fantastic. And Paul, I was just sat there in awe pretty much the whole time. I can barely remember it.
Now your drummer, Mike, right?
Trey.
Trey, sorry. Wait, it was Mike then, but that you met when you were 10?
That's right.
Okay, so when you guys met at that age, you know, there's so much lore about Lennon and McCartney when they met as teenagers, and it was just lightning kind of striking when they met. Was it like that for you two when you met, that you just understood each other, spoke the same musical language back, you know, that far back?
Yeah, I think me and Mike were both, when we met, we were almost competing to be the class clown in the 5th grade, and I think when we were, so what we found out is that we could be clowns together, and so we used to do things like we would make these, like we were DJs and you know, talk like on these little cassette tapes, and it was really fun, and then and eventually it turned towards music, like so some of the first conversations that we had were talking about like different songs that we both liked, and eventually we started Green Day when we were 15, 16 years old.
Right. Did you start writing the songs for Dookie when you were, what, like 18? I mean, you were just really young, right?
Yeah, I would say 20 and 21. Yeah, and then the previous records, I was 15, 16 years old, so we've been in this band forever.
Now, aside from the movie, you've been doing a lot of promotion of the new album. What inspired you to do this album? Revolution Radio, I should say the name of it.
Right. We took a long break after the last record came out, and I think I didn't want to push anything, and I think that's where inspiration really comes from, because you let your life unfold, and then suddenly you have these moments where, like, I wrote 2 songs, like one's called Somewhere Now, and the other one is Bang Bang. And then at that point I knew that it was like it's time to get Green Day going again. So I think about a year and a half later, I mean, here we are now.
Bang Bang, I've read that was inspired by some of the shooting, some of the craziness that's been going on in this country now. Is that true?
Yeah, I think just sort of, it's hard to talk about just because it could be really disturbing, but I will. yeah, it was about mass shootings and sort of what goes on in these sort of social media manifestos that these wingnuts have going on inside their heads, and how we've just become like a really, American culture is like become really violent. So, and then sort of how I feel like bridging that gap between that and like terrorism, and so yeah, it's pretty disturbing, really.
And some of the other songs on the album, was another one inspired by a protest that you took part in New York City?
Yeah, there was a Ferguson protest that was going on 8th Avenue, and basically I saw it. It was the song Revolution Radio, and I just got out and walked with everybody.
Did all the songs on this album come to you very easily?
Yeah, I mean, eventually. I mean, it takes time. So, I mean, yeah, there's like a song like Still Breathing, where it's a song about survival. There's a lot of personal stuff that with it, and looking at your past, and you know, something very similar to Perry Miller, I guess, you know.
Right. Personally, you were on a hiatus for a few years. During that period, were you itching to get back on the road? Perry has these flashes, these quick little flashes where he sees himself on stage in the band. When you were away from it for a while, did you feel that way? Were you itching at all to get back on the road or to get back in the studio?
Yeah, every day. You have to take a break, though, because at the time I was really burnt, and I think I could say that speak for Mike and Trey also. I think we were all we needed time. But it's hard to take time off for me. Like you start to get this feeling like, am I unemployed right now, or like what do I do with myself? And so doing the movie was one thing that was a really. So I started challenging myself in that way. Like, and also I did I wrote songs for a musical called These Paper Bullets. And so I found some things that I could do, but eventually that itch to be in Green Day I had to scratch it. So.
I also that there was an interesting diversion that you took with doing the duet, the Foreverly record with Norah Jones.
Oh yeah, that was great. Yeah,
that was kind of a different thing, right? I mean, one reviewer mentioned that you really get to hear really what a great voice you have on that album. Whereas maybe some of the other songs, you know, it's still obvious, but here the voice is really showcased.
Yeah, thanks, reviewer.
No, I like that guy.
Yeah, I like that guy. Yeah, I learned a lot from Norah. She is a powerhouse. She's so diverse, and you know, anything from country to jazz, and I approached her to see if she wanted to do this record, because I love the Everly Brothers record called Songs Our Daddy Taught Us, and just to remake it and, you know, do something different with it, and she was game.
I think also what's interesting, you are able to shift between these different genres, or I don't even know if you like to label the different types of music you do, but some of the slower songs, I was driving down here, and I was listening to Green Day. It was like a shuffle play, and sure enough, I'm looking at the new tower, the new Freedom Tower, just as "Wake Me Up When September Ends." That song, I think a lot of people associate that with 9/11, and it has meaning for them because of that. But that wasn't what it was meant to be about, was it?
No, that was the first time I ever wrote about my father passing away when I was a kid, and so it was really heavy, and it happens to be the same month as 9/11, and I think there have been people that have sort of saw comfort in that song at a time where there's a lot of tragedy. So, but I mean, it can mean that. I mean, that's the beauty about music, is that it has the power to, you know, there's different interpretations of it. So
right, and the specific can be very universal in a way. Yeah,
absolutely.
Now, American Idiot, sort of a political concept album, right? Now, but you didn't do that with the new record, Revolution Radio.
No, you know, it's funny because like, on one hand, it's very, like, every song kind of stands on its own. But, like, there's a song on there called Forever Now where I couldn't help myself, and I started, like, getting into sort of these wild arrangements and turning it into some kind of epic thing. So it's, I can never stray too far from doing something that sounds like rock opera.
Right. Now, is the timing purely coincidental that, you know, it's being released now just a month before the election?
It could be not, but I think, I mean, I started the record about 2 years ago, and just that's when the writing started, and then, so yeah, I mean, I guess the timing is right if you, if you need to drown your sorrows with a good record, so.
Do you get political at all in your concerts and your commentary between songs or in, you know, during sets?
I have before, and you can't, you know, with a song like Holiday or American Idiot or Revolution Radio, it's, you know, it definitely reflects what's going on in society. So the thing is things feel so toxic right now with what's going on that I don't, like, I watched the debates last night, and I honestly almost feel ashamed of myself for watching it because it was just a bad show, you know, and like, so we played Webster Hall the other night, and people started kind of chanting different things here and there, and I wanted to get away from that. I wanted to remove myself from this.
What were they chanting? I don't know if you can say it.
You can't really say it. But
expletive-laced chants against one candidate or the other? Okay, I think I can get the picture.
Yeah, and I just was like, you know, let's this is our own private underground right now where we can get away from the madness and everybody just feel a little bit of unity and some peace and love and self-respect, you know.
Have a little fun, enjoy some rock and roll music.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Webster Hall, so you've been playing like the smaller venues, and then you started a North American tour in March, I think.
Something like
I saw
that.
that you guys are coming to the Barclays, you know, Brooklyn, of course.
Sign me up, I shall come.
Is that a strategy that you play the smaller clubs and then go and do the big arenas, or is it just kind of turned out that way?
We really like to play like smaller venues sometimes just to like go right to the hardcore fans, and we've been like pulling out a lot of old material from, you know, songs that we haven't played since we were, you know, really young. So it's been really fun. And then so yeah, then we get into the bigger places after that. So
Must be nice though in the smaller venues.
Yeah, it's really fun. I mean, it's even better in the bigger ones. It's really fun.
Yeah.
So.
And in one show, I can't recall when exactly it was, you broke into like a classic rock medley. I want to say like Hey Jude and some some real classics. Do you do that? Do you do that from time to time? The band just feels like.
Yeah, I mean, I always tell people we can play about 10 seconds of every song, you know, a very classic song.
There's
good.
your medley.
Yeah, good or bad, you know. So it's fun to we play a little bit of Satisfaction by the Rolling Stones and just have some fun.
I heard you on another radio program that we were talking about before we started our interview. And heard you talking about the song Welcome to Paradise, and sort of a nod to your days when you were, I don't know, what is it they call them, the salad days, when you were essentially a squatter, right?
More or less. I wouldn't say I was like a squatter per se, but yeah.
But living in not the nicest place.
We lived in squalor.
You lived in squalor.
Yeah, it was a bunch of kids, and we all lived in the same warehouse, and it was, I mean, it wasn't unlike living in the dorms, but it was just a lot more chaos and punk rock and a lot of shenanigans. So.
But a very creative place to be?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there was artists and musicians and, you know, punk rockers in the hallways, and there was always something going on every day.
Yeah. So during those lean years, was there ever a time when you said, I don't know if I can do this for a living, or did you always know, no, I have to be a musician?
I always knew I had to be a musician. I love playing, and you know, and even if if my career would have turned out more like Perry Miller from the movie, I think I would definitely do whatever I could, any kind of job I could to support my music habit. So,
speaking of acting, American Idiot, obviously big hit on Broadway, Tonys and Grammys, and you did some acting on stage there too. Is it true that it's going to be made into a movie for HBO?
yeah, HBO picked it up, and we're all really excited, and the process has begun.
And will you be playing St. Jimmy?
Yeah, I think so.
You will?
Yeah.
Okay.
I better hurry. I'm not getting any younger.
Okay. But, you know.
Yeah,
I think-
absolutely. Yeah.
You will.
Yeah.
Okay. Ordinary World. Now, has that given you more of the acting bug? Other than American Idiot, are you now looking to spread out as an actor, maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. I had a really great time, and of course, Lee was such a great director. I had a really good time with him. So, yeah, I mean, I'm open. I'm game for whatever comes my way.
Any other projects on the horizon right now, or
Nope, just rock and roll.
you'll see what happens? Just rock and roll. A tour, and how about a book? How about a memoir?
I think maybe a fanzine. What if I did a fanzine? Someone asked me if I'd ever do a book, but maybe if I did like my journals in like a Xerox copy thing where I did it like once a month for 3 years. Maybe I'd do something like that. That sounds like fun.
I think it would be a hit.
Yeah.
I do. Enjoyed the movie and enjoyed having you here so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.